The annual Wisconsin Film Festival just wrapped up. Film buff that I am, I managed to see one movie, and that was because friends had free tickets.
Oh, well.
It was a movie called
You saw
I did. What did you think of
It is a success because they set out to make a movie like and they made the movie It's an endurance test to actually sit through it.
The premise of is, what if human society was like ape society? I spent the first 20 minutes of the movie not getting it and hating it, because I went into it not knowing anything.
Whoa, that's the bad movie not to know anything about?
Exactly. I spent the next 20 minutes getting it and hating it. I spent the third 20 minutes getting it and not hating it, but I had already spent 40 minutes hating it, so that's kind of a tough hole to get out of. The screening that I saw, a lot of people walked out.
Really?
And it seemed like the filmmaker sort of wanted that as he was creating the film. And that kind of annoys me. I really want to hate this movie, but I'm not going to give it the satisfaction. It didn't need to be so gratuitous.
Every bodily fluid is in that movie. So, yeah, basically it's that.
I've got a bunch of movies that I've never seen before. You don't know what they are. Every episode I'm going to spring one on you. It might be good, it might be bad. We'll watch it and talk about it. Welcome to the basement. Today we celebrate our 100th episode.
Fanfare!
We let one of the audience members pick the movie, just like we did for our 50th episode.
There were a lot of great recommendations.
Tonight's movie was made by a legendary filmmaker. We've talked about him a lot on this show, and finally we're going to watch one of his movies. Let's just say, for me, it's a dreams come true. Viewer Kenneth Rountree, who says, how about Dreams, then? It's one of his last films and is supposedly based on Kurosawa's actual dreams. Thanks, Kenneth.
Yes, thank you.
Released in 1990, Akira Kurosawa's Dreams was directed by...
Akira Kurosawa.
Very good! Originally titled Such Dreams I Have Dreamed, I think this is a better title, the director had a difficult time getting funding from Japanese studios for this film, even though the budget was considerably less than his previous film, 1985's Ron.
Which everyone should see.
But American fan Steven Spielberg convinced Warner Brothers to buy the international distribution rights, thus making it possible to complete the film. This movie was not only on my original shortlist for this show, it's taken us 5 years to watch it, but it was on a list of movies that I made when I was 17 years old and just starting to get into non-mainstream and art house movies. That list has been lost to time, but I still recall some of the 1990 releases that were also on that list. Films such as Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down, The Dark Backward, and The Two Jakes. It should be noted that, after all this time, I have still yet to see any of these movies.
I have seen Tie Me Up, Tie Me Down. It's great if you like... No, it's not great. I didn't like it.
What do dreams mean? What will the next 100 episodes of our show be like? What does the future hold? If only there was some way to answer all of these questions.
Hey, it's a magic 8-ball!
Nice. Would you like to ask it a question?
Would I like to ask this a question? Yes.
Great segment, Craig. Well, grab your pillows and your blankets and come on over to the old leather couch and curl up and have some interesting visions dance through your head as we watch Akira Kurosawa's Dreams.
Warner Bros.
Warner Brosifs. Akira!
Our first dream is Sunshine Through the Rain.
It's like joy and pain, like sunshine through the rain. Give it to me, raw bass. Come out of that rain into your paper house. You'll catch your death of monsoon. You'd better stay in, young man.
If he goes out in the forest, he might witness the fox's wedding ceremony. You see, that always happens when there's sunshine through the rain.
If you watch the foxes, they'll get angry at you. The young boy sneaks out and into the woods.
How does the fox wed?
Me, 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 me.
This fox wedding better be good. He didn't like that teddy bear picnic that he happened upon at all.
No.
And out of the fog comes the wedding procession.
What is this kabuki business?
It's kabuki business.
That's my favorite Chuck Berry song. Too much kabuki business. Too much kabuki business. Too much kabuki business for me to be involved in.
And they have this funny little dance they do.
The young boy enjoyed watching the fox wedding, but later on he was shocked when he witnessed the fox wedding night. He did a lot of growing up that day.
But they keep looking off to the side, as if they heard something.
The foxes notice him, and he runs off. The jig is up! Back at home, Mom says, you can't come in here. Those foxes caught you, and one of them came by and he was angry. He brought this, a knife.
It's either that, or go and find the foxes, apologize, and if they are nice, they'll take the knife back and you don't have to kill yourself.
You'll notice that I'm not very broken up about this whole thing. You were never my favorite son. After the rain, there's always a rainbow. The boy goes and finds the rainbow. It's quite a stunning shot, actually.
I know this photo's on the box, but it's no less impressive here.
But does he find the foxes? Will his life be spared? We don't know. Because that's the end of that film, and the beginning of the next one.
The Peach Orchard.
A young boy comes in and brings a tray of food to his big sister and her friends.
She's having a party to celebrate Doll Day. Before Pokemon cards, Japan had these.
Suddenly he says, hey, I thought there were 6 of you. There's only 5.
She says, man, you're bugging out. Scram, why don't you?
He looks out of the room and he sees the 6th girl.
Did he watch that Ring video last week? I certainly hope not.
He follows her out of the house and into the yard.
He sees a whole bunch of people.
They look a lot like those dolls in the house. We're angry. We're the spirits of the peach blossoms. I didn't want the peach trees to get cut down. I tried to stop them from doing it, and they wouldn't listen. Please forgive me. I will move to the country and eat me a lot of peaches in atonement. Perhaps you would like to see the trees in bloom again. They do an elaborate dance.
And he brings the orchard back to existence through the power of dance and imagination. Peach blossoms, live at Budokan.
Look at that! Magic! Great, now we have to cut these down again.
And there's that little girl. The little boy goes up to find her, but by the time he gets there, all the peach trees are gone and they're just a bunch of stumps.
There's one blossoming tree there.
There's hope yet.
What a lovely tree. I'm gonna take you home with me.
The blizzard!
We find 4 men struggling through the snow, and they're trying to find their camp.
It's very hard to breathe up here. They've lost all track of time. Really happy I've never had this dream. Or this life. This dream or this awake both seem horrible to me. Finally, they start complaining to each other. We're moving slower than a fox's wedding ceremony.
We'll never find our camp. We're off course. But the leader says, no, we need to press on. And as soon as we get to camp, ice cream for everyone. The men start to collapse into the snow and fall asleep. You can't fall asleep, you'll die. He runs and tries to wake him up, but then he too collapses, succumbing to the cold. Did I died? What appears to be an angel is singing him to sleep.
And she puts a crazy blanket on top of him. He's like, oh, it's alright. You can go to sleep now.
Go to sleep. It's so warm.
Just sleep. And he's like, hey, hands off, lady. I don't want to die. And she's like, wah! And she disappears.
He runs and he wakes up his men. The sky clears and the blizzard ends. And they notice
the base camp. It's right there. We're almost home.
Camp doesn't seem like much of an improvement of their situation.
The tunnel. A World War II veteran is walking down a road. He comes upon a tunnel, and there's a growling coming out of the tunnel. A dog comes out, and it's barking in a bad way. I'm just gonna go in this tunnel now.
He walks through the tunnel. It's all spooky and echoey, but he comes to the other side. Bye-bye, tunnel. Suddenly there are footsteps behind him. A man emerges. It's Private Noguchi, who's dead. Noguchi says, hey, I heard that I died, and that can't be right. I must be alive, right? Say what? Noguchi says, what about my family? They're waiting for me. He convinces Noguchi that he's dead and he should go back into the tunnel. Say hi to the dog for me. Before he can move on.
Hail, hail the pirate king. Da, 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 da.
The entire 3rd Battalion emerges. They were all wiped out in the war. He has to convince all of them that they died, and it was his fault.
I'm sorry. I wish I would have died with you. Living as I have, it has not been in any way good.
These soldiers aren't going to take his word for it.
So the commander, he knows the magic word, and so does Matt.
He's going to give him the old about face.
Volley!
Bam! Forward march.
Volley! Smash!
Zingo!
And you say you've never seen this movie before. And off they go into the tunnel.
And that dog comes back. Akira Kurosawa's Scooby-Doo.
Crows! Mr. Jones and me.
A man walks through an art museum filled with the paintings of Vincent van Gogh.
And then he walks into one.
Where is Vincent van Gogh, he asks.
That crazy guy, he just went across the bridge.
He goes through fields and various Van Gogh-esque landscapes, and finally
He goes out to the field to talk with the great artist. Van Gogh does most of the talking because he's Martin Scorsese. And Scorsese, once he gets going, he doesn't shut up.
I consume this natural setting. I devour it completely and whole.
Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be a painter.
I can't stand here wasting my time talking to you.
the man finds himself wandering through the paintings of Van Gogh, stumbling over brushstrokes and whatnot. Come to the Vincent van Gogh Funhouse. You'll just lose yourself in the masterworks of the great artist. And at the end, there's a slide. Maybe I'll go look for Picasso.
More naked people over there.
But in the end, he's right back in that gallery. He was just taking a trip through his imagination.
Mount Fuji in red.
Finds us confronted with an apocalyptic event.
Because Mount Fuji has just erupted. And to make matters worse,
The 6 nuclear power plants around Mount Fuji are all exploding.
and then suddenly everyone is gone. Everyone has drowned themselves in the ocean.
あれはイルカだよ。イルカも逃げてるのさ。
So long and thanks for all the fish, they say.
There are poison clouds floating through the atmosphere, and no one can escape.
Every one of them is a different color. And every color gives you a different disease.
じゃあお先に。
Later, gators.
It's better to have a quick death than a long one.
He jumps off the cliffs, taking his own life. Oh, the wind is getting him. It's just like The Happening. And as the clouds approach, the man tries to protect the women and her children as best as he can.
But the smoke just keeps on smoking. Meanwhile, on some other desolate landscape,
The weeping demon finds a man wandering. Suddenly, a figure emerges from the cloud. A demon.
だがこれでも。
They speak for a while about nuclear Armageddon and the follies of man.
check out these monster plants, and they're all poisonous so you can't eat them.
Mama had a baby and the head popped off. You ever play that game?
Yeah.
Come on, demon, get to weepin'. Deliver on the promise of this title. There's the weepin'.
Oh, I taught that weeping demon how to cry, cry, cry.
You taught the clouds to cover up a new clear sky. And he says there are other demons with multiple horns, and their horns torture them. But they cannot die. They will go on suffering for all of eternity.
There's a whole bunch of demons all moaning and groaning down there by the waters.
This scene courtesy of Hieronymus Bosch. The man, in fear of the whole thing, runs off.
And runs and runs and runs. And amazingly doesn't trip.
In the village of the watermills, a man wanders through a village of watermills.
The man encounters an old man.
この村は何という村ですか?
わしらはただ村という
Be seeing you. Asks him about modern conveniences like electricity and such, and the man says, "We have no use for those here. We live simply."
牛もおるし
We also have a talking pig and a spider who's very special.
Now I got where you're from, where they got power plants and cars and all that crap.
汚された空気や水は
Dirty whores.
They hear a noise off in the distance, and the old man says, "Ah, that's a funeral procession. She used to be an old flame of mine. She freaked me nasty."
I gotta go get dressed up in my fancy construction worker outfit. Jingle, jingle, jingle. See you around.
The funeral procession marches through, and it's quite a spectacle. We're not foxes, we're just humans.
We're also not peach trees.
Watches the old man strutting his stuff. I've still got it! Wow, this has been quite an interesting day. I really like this village. Where's the gift shop? And those are just some of Akira Kurosawa's dreams.
Oh, dreams.
Akira Kurosawa's dreams. We've finally awoken from it. How do you feel?
I loved it top to bottom. It just takes a while in certain moments of it. Long, drawn-out moments of men walking through tunnels. The shots were so beautiful. How do you even care? Even the shots of... that could just be running like one frame at a time through an art museum forever.
So these were 8 separate stories, but were they? They seem to go in a chronological order throughout a person's life. There's a little bit of 7 Ages of Man in there. Do you think this is an autobiography of sorts?
All of these things, I imagine, were dreams from his entire lifetime. And so it is the same story.
The film begins with a wedding and ends with a funeral. The funeral is an affirmation of life, while the wedding brings the threat of death. I understand what the theme of the whole piece is, but it's a little difficult to express. To say man versus nature is misleading. If you live in harmony with nature, then that conflict doesn't exist.
Yes, man is within nature.
Yes.
And we are strong enough to defeat nature, but nature can also be strong enough to defeat us.
Of the 8 pieces, which one was your favorite?
Sunshine Through the Rain, because that one is very much like dreams that I had when I was a child.
It's a fairy tale. A very dark fairy tale.
Just the look of it all, with the rain falling through the trees.
And the fact that there's no resolution. We don't know the fate of the boy.
Are there resolutions in any of them? They all end as dreams do.
Yeah,
They just end.
The blizzard has an ending.
It does.
Yeah.
But they still don't even make it to camp. They're just working their way through the snow.
It's tough not to pick Sunshine Through the Rain, but my favorite would be The Tunnel, because I feel like that has the clearest and most poignant symbolism. The dog is war. The dogs of war. The tunnel is death. The man moves through the tunnel, he makes it out the other side, he survives war. And then emerging from this tunnel of death are all of these ghosts that he's haunted by. It's very obvious symbolism, but it's very moving. And it really gives you that sense of getting a glimpse inside a person who's been through a war and is not going to be able to shake it for the rest of his life.
I'm also a big fan of Mount Fuji in red, because that was another big anxiety of mine when I was a kid. That's the most terrifying one to me.
That one actually was one of my least favorites, because I felt like the special effects in that were the most dated.
I think the effects were supposed to look dated. He was trying to do a classic Toho
Make it
monster
look like
movie.
a Godzilla movie. The story of it just seemed like a pamphlet against nuclear proliferation.
I'd say that's a flaw of a lot of the pieces. At least half of them has a character just addressing the man. That's poor storytelling, and I'd say that is the major flaw of the movie. But it's a movie that is such a garden of splendors. You can have one little weed in there, and it's fine.
Sure. So during the blizzard, you made a comment about...
You can't die in a dream, or else you'll die in real life. That's science. Or so they say.
I had a dream once where I died.
Yeah?
I was on the porch of the house that I grew up in. I walked through the screen door, I was walking down the steps, and suddenly there was a guy with a gun. And I turned around to run back in the house, and I felt like the bullets hitting me, and everything went black, and I just felt like I was sort of like moving away, and I could still feel bullets hitting my body, but it was fainter and fainter, and felt like my soul was like drifting away. I don't know, I think I might have died.
Oh.
Maybe this whole show was a dream.
Wrap it up, Tona. Take down the set. 6 feet under the ground.
Yeah, maybe this basement is my grave.
And I also like the fact that there's no framing device in the movie. Other than the black title cards, there isn't the Kurosawa waking up. It's like, Let's talk about the cinematography and the set design. What are the strongest images for you?
Well, geez, the entire Crows piece. Recreating those paintings in real space. I mean, that's just amazing. And then at the same time, when he's wandering through the actual paintings, it looks a little cheesy. When a film is over 25 years old, you got to accept that some of it's going to be dated.
It comes with the line,
The sun. It compels me to paint.
which has stuck in my head for the last 25 years since I saw this. That's one of the most powerful lines in all filmmaking as far as I'm concerned.
Final thoughts on Akira Kurosawa's dreams.
I love it when artists try to make a representation of dreams. There's a line in a Built to Spill song, I want to see movies of my dreams.
Sure.
And we have it right here. We got 8 Dreams by Kurosawa.
That was Akira Kurosawa's dreams, and it was quite dreamy. So why don't you wake on up and go over to our website, welcometothebasementshow.com, where you can see all the episodes we've ever made. There's also a PayPal donation button. You can click it up and donate a few mere dollars to support our show. We certainly would appreciate it. Paul is one of our donors who says, congratulations on reaching show 100. You've created one of the best shows on the internet. Thumb kiss. If you want to hear who the rest of our donors are and see the contents of our mailbag, you can watch Welcome to the Basement Unboxing this Friday. You know what? Some people might not realize the true thrill of unboxing, and so I'm going to unbox one of those packages right now.
What?
I got one right here. Look how big it is. It's a record.
Is it?
I liked this one. Underwater Moonlight by the Soft Boys.
Ah, yeah.
I got this on CD. This is good stuff. Robin Hitchcock. Underwater Moonlight.
Something, something, something.
Thank you, T.A. Epley. We got plenty more packages to unbox this coming Friday. And now it is time for Seen It. Oh, Fox, gotcha. This time for Seen It, I thought we'd do something a little different. Since we let the audience pick the movie for this episode, I thought that Craig and I should get to pick the Seen It's. We can talk about any movies we want.
You know what movies we should talk about? Movies we hate.
Hey, let's bring back that old bilious favorite, Seen It, Hate It. If any of these movies are movies that you like, don't take offense at it. We're just expressing our opinion.
Matt S. writes, have you seen The Congress? If it were possible to drown a movie in a bathtub, this would be the one. I haven't seen it, but have you, Matt?
Oh, yes.
Did you not like it?
Well, I agree with Matt S. This movie, unfortunately, is a pile of garbage.
Yeah?
It's surprising considering it was directed by Ari Folman, who did Waltz with Bashir, the Oscar-nominated animated film. So you'd expect at least something interesting, but you do not get anything remotely close. This movie is dull, pretentious, the story doesn't make sense, and you get terrible performances from great actors.
Like who?
Robin Wright, Paul Giamatti, Harvey Keitel. When was the last time you saw a movie and you thought, oh, this Harvey Keitel guy, he can't really act? You see that in The Congress, that's for sure. Craig Joe 96 writes, guys, Antona, your show is pretty good. Pretty good. You know what's not? Away we go. Talk about a talent bomb. Seen it.
I love it when the fans use the talent bomb. I coined the term, so I love hearing it. Yeah, it is a talent bomb. Everyone involved with this movie is really good. But what makes it particularly frustrating is it's made out of really great parts. You have amazing scenes, you have amazing monologues, but you just stack it all together and it's nothing.
Unlike you, I find very little to be amazing about this. I think it's just a series of encounters with these caricatures of people, and I found it very not entertaining.
I need that.
I'm gonna need that.
I'm gonna need that. M. Slizzy writes, what about Martin and Orloff? No question mark, so it's a statement. The ghost of a smile never crossed my face while watching this comedy, much less a laugh. For a few hours after suffering through it, I hated comedy and humanity. Seen it.
Seen it, yeah. I am in concurrence with you, Slizzy. The Upright Citizens Brigade, I think, are the most important group of comedians in the last 20 years. Not necessarily the funniest or the best. The comedy mecca that they've built to rival Second City and the Groundlings and all that, I think it's just a really great thing.
Yes.
And the fact that they came up with this dirge is baffling to me, and that somehow, somewhere, anyone would find these dipshit premises about spare rib costumes in the least bit funny.
And also, it just kind of hurts because it's like, oh, Tina Fey's in this movie somewhere, and she shows up for 2 seconds, and various other giants of the alt-comedy world will just pop up for a few seconds. It's like, nope, not funny there either.
This is what I want to do. I want to have a screening of Martin and Orloff. I want to rent out a big theater, and next to the movie screen, I want a 1920s style strongman. He's got the curly mustache, the bald head, and next to him is a 40-pound sack of flour. And every time there's a joke in the movie, he picks up the sack of flour and drops it. Because that's sort of what you experience as you're watching this movie. The best part about this screening is I won't be attending. Scani Craig writes, I hate that word, by the way.
Talk to Scani about it.
Have you seen Jean-Luc Godard's King Lear? It's a dump truck full of crazy. I have not seen it.
Seen it. Jean-Luc Godard, at least in the mid-'80s, got to the point where I think that he hated movies. And so he made this one. He hated movies, and he'd hate anyone stupid enough to sit in an audience to watch one of his movies, like I did, and I got to see it for free, and I still want my money back.
What did you overhear in the theater before the movie started?
I hear that this is Jean-Luc Godard's worst movie.
And they seemed excited about that prospect?
Yeah. I know Godard has spent his career tearing up the medium and seeing what he could patch together with it, but with that, he was just tearing it up, showing disdain for everyone from William Shakespeare on to me, and even the career of Jean-Luc Godard. Je ne t'aime pas, and I am purposely mispronouncing your language.
That's seen it.
And that's our show.
We are glad that you joined us for Akira Kurosawa's Dreams. It was quite a colorful journey, as has been making this series.
Yes.
We hope you'll join us for show number 101. It'll be another movie that I haven't seen. Craig might have seen it. Who knows? We'll see you then.
We'll see you then.
That's what I said.
Yeah.
Did I not say it right?
You could have put a little bit more.
Could I have put a little more? Is that what I could have done?
Is this the end?
100 episodes.
Is this
and
the
I'm
end?
sick of it,
Michael Shannon!
You say. You say you want a funeral. You say. Yes, I do.
The sun, it compels me to paint.